Your relatives have just moved into our house and are already dictating their own rules. Your relatives have just moved into our house and are already dictating their own rules. I will not put up with them, said Logan's wife. Your relatives have just moved into our house and already set up their own rules. I will not put up with them, said Logan's wife. We are in difficulties, Amelia. The house burned down, said Genesis and called her sister. What happened, Amelia? Is everyone alive? Fortunately, but I don't know how it happened. You say there was a short circuit on the first floor. Amelia, what should we do now? Amelia sighed heavily. She couldn't help it because she cared for her older mother-in-law and was temporarily in another city. But in the community in which her sister lived, Amelia's house was also located in which her son and his wife lived at that time. Amelia immediately called her son Logan. We have to help the relatives. They are in trouble. I've already heard the message. I was at Aunt Genesis yesterday. It's not that bad there, said Logan. Thank God. The first floor burned down, but not quite, and the ground floor was not damaged. I offered money for the repair and they accepted it. Can we do anything else to help you? And why? I am at work all day. I don't work in construction. And you have men in your family. Why should I take part? Yes, that's right. Okay, you're right. Amelia could not understand the extent of the problem, but Genesis called her again. Amelia, as a sister, please help me. We have a big family, 2 little grandchildren, a daughter and a son-in-law, my husband and me. After the fire, we have to renovate and we all need a place to stay. Can we live with you for a while? What do you say? Of course, said Amelia. Her sister was her family, and her mother had always taught her to help people in need. In addition, Logan and his wife temporarily lived in her house, and she had no doubt that her son would agree. The only thing Amelia had no idea was that after this conversation, distracted by her mother-in-law, she would not have time to call her son and inform him. She did not expect Genesis and her family to pack their suitcases and wait for the head of the family to give them the green light. Mila, Logan's wife, just came home from work. When she arrived, she couldn't believe her eyes. Her husband's relatives were standing in front of the veranda with suitcases in their hands. Hello, she had heard about the fire, and she and Logan had just talked the day before about how Aunt Genesis had been lucky. They had only suffered a few injuries. Last month, the neighboring village had burned down, and all the news had reported that only ashes were left of the big house. Mila herself had offered to help her husband's relatives, and Logan had transferred a considerable amount for the repairs. They thought nothing would be asked of them. But, hello Mila, hurried Genesis to hug her daughter-in-law. You're taking a lot of time today. We've been waiting for you for an hour and a half. What about you? What's going on? Don't you know that our house burned down? It burned, I know, but your house was hardly damaged, corrected Mila. What does the owner give us? We stay with you while the house is repaired. Does the owner know about it? Mila frowned. She and Logan hadn't talked about it, and she was used to making all decisions together. The owner, Amelia, knows. She invited us to her home. Mila was stunned. How could her mother-in-law be able to invite her sister when she was in another city? So what's up? How long do we have to stand here? The month of May is not outside, said the Genesis brother-in-law. Yes, the children freeze, nodded her grandchildren. The boys ran around in the garden, scattered the leaves they had collected, and actually didn't want to go home. But Mila had to open the door and invite the relatives into the house. I didn't know that we would have guests, so there is nothing to eat. What do you eat yourself? You don't cook at all? Most of the time I order ready meals. I don't have time to cook. Mila twitched with my shoulders. And it's not my thing, housekeeping. I see that, she bleated Genesis. The house of Amelia was always perfectly clean. And now, when Mame was passing, Mila donated Genesis' remark. The house was clean, it was only that at the end of the week, there were always additional things that had to be cleaned. She cooked tea, found jam on the shelf, put the guests at the big table, and waited for her husband. Logan was very surprised. He hadn't expected such a surprise. but his upbringing did not allow him to express his surprise. "Live, of course, if it has to be," he said, shrugging. "You can have Mom's rooms, and the living room. Mila, please give the guests the bedding, and I'm going to bed. I'm very tired today." "I thought we were looking at football. I have chips and so. It's Friday." Genesis' so-in-law rustled with the bags. "Do you have no respect for sport?" "Yes, but today without me. My faith RI-in-law and I will sit down now. Do you want to sit down with us? Do you only have a big TV in the living room?" Yes/yes. Then we put it in the kitchen so that it is not in the way. Logan was of course surprised, but he was silent. In his view, the only thing that meant the fact that one was in a foreign house meant a modest and quiet stay in the assigned room, and not drinking drinks, calling goal, and adjusting the television. Mela was of the same opinion, but assumed that the guests were reasonable enough to behave. So she distributed the laundry and pulled back into her husband's bedroom. "Are we on fire?" Mila smelled smoke a few hours later. She woke her husband, and he went to see where the smell came from, but quickly came back. Aggrieved and annoyed, he said that Uncle Jacob was smoking in the kitchen. "Has he lost his mind?" gasped Mila. "We don't smoke in our house." "Go and tell a man who is twice as old as you and who has already drunk 3 liters of beer. It's strange that we didn't hear him cheering on his favorite team," her husband replied. "I sleep deeply and soundly," Mela said, opening the window. Fresh air poured into the room. "No, this is not good. I don't want to inhale smoke. It makes no sense to talk to him now. We'll talk tomorrow morning." "All right then." Somehow the owners managed to ventilate and fall asleep. In the morning, Mila went to the bathroom and stumbled upon some garbage bags. The smell was unbearable. There were empty cans on the table that had not been packed in the bag, and dirty dishes. To eliminate the odor, we had to take out the trash after the guests and immediately clean the floor. Meanwhile, the guests were sleeping and making themselves comfortable. "We are hungry." The boys, Logan's nephews, appeared in the kitchen. "What is your mother doing?" "She is sleeping. She watched a long football game with Dad and Grandpa." "I see. And Grandma?" "She went somewhere." "And what do you normally eat?" "Sausages, cookies, sweets." "We'll come up with something," said Mela and opened the fridge. She made scrambled eggs for the children and served them for breakfast. Logan also didn't refuse to eat, but the guests only woke up at noon. "Did you feed the children fried food?" asked Logan's sister unhappily. "What else should I have given them?" "Ronka has gastritis. He can't eat something like that." "You should have asked if you don't know." "Next time I won't do anything anymore. It's your son," said Mila. "I understand that someone got caught off guard," murmured Genesis's daughter. "What is it about? Who woke up on the wrong foot?" Uncle Jacob appeared in the kitchen. He took out a lighter, but Mil literally snatched it out of his hand. "We don't smoke in our house. Go outside." "What's so bad about it?" he wondered. "I can't stand the smell of smoke." "Oh well." "Jacob, what kind of man are you? Where were you naked?" "It's autumn," called Genesis when he came home. "I was kicked out of the house, so I went out," Uncle Jacob complained to his wife. The otherwise calm house turned into a complete mess. The children were running through the rooms, Genesis was arguing with her husband, Mila was trying to clean the table after a party, and her sister was yelling at the kids to put them to bed. Logan went out to run errands. Mila also wanted to leave, but she wasn't sure if it was okay to leave this family's house. They had almost destroyed their own house. And for some reason, Mela didn't think that the short circuit had caused the fire. Maybe Uncle Jacob, who had a bad habit, had simply neglected safety and started the fire. Mela went to the garden and started clearing the leaves so she wouldn't have to hear the yelling anymore. But then it started raining and she had to go back inside. "So what is that?" Mela almost fell over when she saw the boxes with vegetables in the kitchen. There were tomatoes, zucchini, pumpkins, just like in the supermarket, but in large quantities. "I brought them from home. I will preserve them, otherwise the harvest is lost," said Genesis calmly. "Come, you can help." We'll get it done faster together. I do not know how to do it. I will teach you. It's not a big deal. First, you have to remove the core of the tomatoes. But you'll thank me later. Who else should teach you if not me? Genesis did not listen to Mila's objections. She just handed her a knife and a box of tomatoes. And Mila automatically started removing the cores of the tomatoes. She thought that she had never compelled anyone so boldly to do something they didn't like. What are you choosing? Have you never done anything with your hands? You are a squirrel. Didn't your mother teach you how to handle a knife? Mila put the vegetables aside, got up and left without saying a word. Logan came home and noticed that Mila was in a bad mood. Your relatives just moved into our house and they are already trying to impose their own rules. I won't tolerate that. Mila, what's wrong with you? I was just there. I found out everything. A team is working. You said it would be done in a week. Wait a whole week? I'm ready to leave right now. No, I'm sorry, but I didn't move into this house to take care of your relatives. The agreement was that we take care of the house while your mother was away. Now I have to take care of the guests as well. Logan wanted to argue, but Mila was determined. He called his mother and expressed his dissatisfaction. You can stay in your apartment. It's not that bad there. Orica's sister should live there with her husband and children. Why do you all come here? Logan, these are our relatives. You can't say that. Amelia was offended about her son. And Genesis complained to Amelia that her daughter-in-law was not welcoming her. It's a shame that you are not here. You could teach the young people how to receive guests. And your daughter-in-law is a snake. She smiles, but it is not clear what's going on in her. Amelia started calling her son again. Logan, tell your wife she shouldn't speak. Incidentally, she is also visiting. Mila heard what her mother-in-law had said and was very insulted because Amelia had asked Logan and her to move to the country and take care of the garden. Mila didn't want to live in the countryside. She preferred life in the capital. However, she agreed because she respected her mother-in-law. Well, if that's the case, then you should manage the house yourself. If you want, you can live with them. But I'm going home, Mila told Logan. They argued for a bit, but Logan didn't want to stay in the village either. He didn't like coming home from work, dealing with traffic, and reporting to his mother about the condition of the garden. Well, it's settled. We'll leave the family and go away, he said. What do you mean you're going away? Genesis waved her hands. And what about us? We stay. Your mother called you, so you decide with her. The key hangs in the closet. Call them if you need something. We are just as welcome here as you are. It is time to honor the honor. With these words, Logan put on his jacket, took his wife's bag and went. Oh dear, murmured Genesis. She calculated with the help of the sticks, but it shouldn't be. Amelia, we are in difficulties. 2 weeks later, Genesis called her sister again. So what's going on? She was horrified. A pipe has burst. The basement in your house is underwater. Where is Logan? We have to call the emergency service. No, Logan, he and Mila are gone. You left us alone, on our own. With the help of a video connection, Amelia was able to explain to her sister how to turn on the faucet. It turned out that the faucet in the toilet was broken, the washing machine no longer worked, and the new microwave oven, which Amelia had received from her son and daughter-in-law, had broken due to constant sterilization of glasses. What's in there? On the windowsill. Does Jacob have a smokehouse in the house? Amelia noticed the ashtray made from a plastic bottle. What have you turned the kitchen into? A disaster? Why is everything so messy? Everything is fine, isn't it, sister? This is just work stuff. Everyone lives like this. Everything was fine in my house. Your sister-in-law. Tell me nothing about my daughter-in-law. I know everything about you myself. Better to take care of your son-in-law. He is such a stubborn head, and he couldn't repair the tap. I hope that your repairs will come to an end, and you will soon return to your house. I wouldn't have believed that, sister. We should help each other when we are in difficulties. My mother taught me that, but she didn't teach me. You grew up as a one-woman man, and your slogan is the same. Amelia did not answer. She took an impetus on her sister and never called again. 2 weeks later, the relatives finally moved out. When Logan wanted to pick up the keys, he did not recognize his mother's house. In the month in which the relatives had lived there, the garden was neglected and the house looked like a sewer. The wallpaper smelled of smoke. The flood had caused the wallpaper to bubble, and various breakdowns had made it seem as though the house had been intentionally destroyed rather than inhabited. Logan called his mother and showed her everything his sister had done. "So will you let them live here again?" Logan asked. "No, never, never," Amelia exclaimed. "Hold on, Mila, on the phone, please." "Yes," Mila replied, feeling angry with her mother-in-law. "Please forgive me for believing my sister. You are a great host and wife. I understand if you refuse, but I really ask you to restore the house to its previous condition," she said. Mila was skeptical about it, but she complied with her mother-in-law, although she had to do some cleaning and even make some minor beauty repairs. "Logan, why don't we move in with your aunt? While we change the wallpaper, she will be very happy. What's the harm? Let's see if you behave in your own house as well as you do in a stranger's." "This is a tempting idea, but no," laughed Logan. He didn't go to his aunt's house again and didn't offer his help. He had learned that one should have a good relationship with their relatives, but at a distance, and the further away, the better.